Okay, so I'm on my way from flamenco class to lunch with a woman I met at a party on July 4th. And so this class was really hard, and all the girls know what they're doing, and they're all very young. And when they said, "Oh, I'm 18, I'm 22, I'm 19, whatever," they were like, I said, "I'm 55," and their jaws dropped. I'm like, who taught them manners? And they're like, "That's old." And I'm like, "Thanks." They're like, "You're pretty good for 55. I'm like, "Thank you." So the teacher, turns out, we lived in Japan at the same time. We lived in New York at the same time. She's 57, I'm 55. She's amazing. And she can sing, and her husband plays the music. He's from Granada, I believe. And they have, I think, 4 kids. Anyways, they're doing a show in November, and they want me to be in it. Maybe I'll only be good enough for 1 number, they said. You think? But I'm like, oh my God. And they're like, "We don't advertise this class. This is just like for the family of flamenco people in Santa Fe." I'm like, oh my God, I have been adopted, and I'm so happy. I'm very nervous. But I didn't have any blisters. These classes are 2 hours long, not 3 hours long. And apparently when I go into the 3rd hour, I get blisters. So I'm feeling good. I'm feeling bold. I'm feeling courageous. I'm feeling welcomed. And I'm feeling the gift of when you follow your intuition, you just show up and you go for it. Which leads me to this incredible, we actually didn't talk about this in our podcast. We alluded to that Simran's a performer, but you'll have to contact her directly and ask her about her one-woman show she did. And I believe she brought her kids along with her. She is a mystic. She is connected. She is wise. The interview was amazing, with life circumstances from jackhammers to power outages to deep, soulful, spiritual connection. And she's definitely one of my new sisters on this planet. You're going to love this interview. I've already ordered her 3 books. They will be by my bedside soon. And I'm going to say listen, obviously, to this podcast, but also feel this woman's energy, and feel this new sisterhood between the 2 of us. And I'll let you know how the flamenco show goes. Oh my God. All right, here we go. Simran.
Welcome to Intimate Conversations, Season 13, Heart Broken Open, where intimacy is an inside job. Hello, delicious people. Welcome to another episode of Intimate Conversations, Season 13, Heart Broken Open. And I am with one of my new, most favorite people who we have been leading up to this interview. In fact, she interviewed me yesterday and I'm interviewing her today. So we did like do-si-do, back to back, tango, tango. But before that, we got a chance to get to know each other better. And I am truly in awe. And I just move into this state of bliss mush every time I hear her voice. So let me tell you professionally who we're about to get to know, and then more about the blessing that she already is in my life. This woman, Simran, is an author, an artist, a publisher, a soul activist, and rebel humanitarian. She's a multiple Gold Award-winning author of multiple books. As I said, an author, an artist, speaker, and she's a mystic. Host of 1111 Talk Radio, a weekly radio show founded in 2009. She is the Nautilus Award winner of 1111 Magazine, founded in 2007. And in 2025, 1111 Magazine initiated a new digest series, the 1111 Conscious Living, for serving and empowering humanity. This series is offered individually as ebooks, audiobooks, or as an online micro-courses, in a consistent, focused, and rhythmic path for awareness, awakening, and alignment. And Simran is a creative mystic. She's inspired to share magazines and podcasts and books and media and art and even performances that lift conscious presence, bridging humanity and divinity. And just before we got on, Simran, today, you texted me and you said, well, there's a little something going on in the background. So why don't you tell the world what's happened and why we actually are embracing it as divine?
Well, we're embracing it because my whole life has been about signs, symbols, and synchronicities, right? And I'm sure
Yeah.
everybody has their own discourse of signs that they have that they encounter. But what began about an hour ago was a jackhammer started hammering away at the concrete outside, and
Yeah.
then beeping, the backing up of those bulldozers and different machines. So then the beeping started, and I thought, well, that's going to be nice and noisy for an interview. But then, I think it's great fodder for where we might go today because I can see a lot of symbolism in it too.
Yeah, I really can. Thank you. It was curious. I was talking to one of my coaches this morning, sharing about my 13-hour flight back from Madrid to LA. And the person beside me would lean her chair back, and the person behind her erupted. How dare you? And then the husband of the woman erupted as well. There were three fistfights.
Oh,
Fuck you
my.
in a 13-hour flight. They didn't stop. It just continued and continued. And I was sitting there going, first, I just sort of did this just so the fists wouldn't go into my face. And then I noticed, I'm like, wow, I'm not doing that adrenal, like, freak out in my body. And I'm aware to send the frequency of love and light and peace. And this is like a practice. The world is deconstructing.
Mhm.
All the systems and structures that aren't working are following not so elegantly. And who are we going to be in reaction or in response? So your life is such a beautiful story of this responding, not reacting. So maybe you could start with how your body shut down, or you can start wherever you want to start about how can we be when life gives us these really intense wake up calls.
Yeah. I think the fortunate thing that occurred with me was I had
Just to be sure. You were
I'm talking about like things just happen, but yet they're not random. Right.
right.
That was my book on being.
Okay.
Part of a trilogy that has been probably the culmination of my life's work,
Oh,
right? And my life's work began with signs, symbols, and synchronicities
yeah.
because I had not done any personal growth. I had faith, but was not really of any spiritual leaning.
Yeah.
And I had a whole lot of dysfunction that was occurring in my life that made no sense because I really was the epitome of a Pisces. Nothing but love, nothing but generosity, always a kind word. And, I also had that codependent, people pleasing, that part, empathic side of the Pisces nature as well. And
Mm,
so the things showing up for me really didn't make sense.
yeah.
None of it. Love wasn't love. The way that family should feel didn't feel like family. Life felt dead and numb. And yet on the outside, I had a really, really what would look like a beautiful life, right? The fancy car and the house and the fashion industry, persona and all of that, which is where I began was in fashion.
Mm,
But the first thing that started was I was like, gosh, I'm in fashion and I'm dealing with patterns all day. And
mm,
something clicked and it was like patterns. Like there's something to that. I'm not quite sure what I'm supposed to do with it, but there's something to that.
yeah.
Then life became even more difficult. And I found myself on my knees like a lot of people do. And I literally asked for a sign. I
Mm,
said, send me a sign or take me out of here.
whoa.
And what I began seeing for about the next 4 weeks, up to 25, 30 times a week, were the numbers 1111.
Yeah.
They showed up everywhere. And I had no clue what they meant. And they were really frustrating more than anything else because when something keeps happening and you have no idea why, and you're
Yeah.
not sure if anyone else is seeing it,
Yeah.
it kind of makes you go, okay, either I'm losing my mind,
Yeah.
or there's something bigger going on here and no one else is noticing. So what do I do with it?
Mm,
Well, I was in the midst of a relationship that was wrought with a lot of verbal abuse, a lot of dealing with their addictions, a lot of adultery, and I needed to get him into rehab.
mm,
And so I ended up finding a place out of state. I took him, and I'm coming back from the rehab place to the hotel. and there's a railroad crossing, and the arm goes down, and I stop, and I start sobbing on the wheel. I put my head down, and all of a sudden, a train passes.
Mm-hmm.
And every single boxcar, about 20, 25 boxcars, had a giant 1111 on the side. Not a little 1111, like full on across the entire car. And I'm looking at it and I'm going, this can't be real. And so I go home and I'm really, really sad because, when a relationship falls apart, and mine was an arranged marriage, but still I had hung dreams on this relationship. My identity was about, pleasing the family and following the culture. And I did this wrong. And how could this happen? I'm going to be disowned. And all of these things were going through my head.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of sadness and grief. And I went to bed and I stayed in bed for a while. But every time I would turn over, there was 111 or 1111 on the clock. That's the only thing I would see. I would go downstairs to get something to eat, the microwave flashing 1111 at 3 p.m. in the afternoon. I reset it. I go down later in the day, flashing 1111 again.
Stop. Wow.
Yeah, so it was quite mystical and it was quite frustrating.
Okay.
And after about 4 weeks of this, I very angrily said, God, either tell me what this means or make it stop. Just make it stop. I need answers.
Yeah.
And right in that moment, I heard in my own voice inside myself,
Yeah.
do this now, you will heal and others will heal. And I saw flashes of magazine covers. I saw the inside of the first cover. I saw every article. I was able to read it. I saw a radio show. I saw a series of books I would write, all these things that would happen. I don't know where that would come from. I was not,
Sure.
never considered myself psychic. I don't hear voices, like none of those things. I don't see angels, like none of that.
No dead people.
No, nothing. And I was a workaholic prior to that.
Mm-hmm.
And the
Mm-hmm.
beautiful thing about life, universe, God, whatever you want to call it, is it knows us well enough to give us what it knows we will latch on to.
Mm-hmm.
And being a workaholic, I could handle a project. I could, even if I didn't know what I was doing, which I didn't, I could say, okay, that's something I can put my mind into.
Mm-hmm.
And I find that a lot of us, we latch onto these things to distract us from the pain. And in a way, that's what was happening in truth. I
Mm.
found a really good way to distract myself from the pain, but such a good way that would also help me heal,
Sure. And others.
grow, and others. And that just led me on this path of doing things. And then the signs kept coming. I began to discern this language that no one else was talking about in lots of ways that no one was talking about. And that became my first book, Conversations with the Universe. And then I wrote several books, I did several things. And then I had a situation like yours that brought me to my knees around my children.
Mm.
And I did what most people don't do. And at that moment, I said, okay, I have followed the signs. I
Yeah.
have used the signs as my personal growth path because they really can be that.
Yeah.
And with all that work that I've done, I still ended up here.
Yeah.
I
Why?
have missed something big time.
Mm-hmm.
And what I missed was being, but
Mm.
not the kind of being that most people think of, because most people think of being as that stopping in that stillness
Mm-hmm.
and that bubble bath and that go om somewhere. And there's a whole different side of being that is rampant in the world right now that has to be faced. And it's beyond shadow. It's far deeper than what shadow is. But that was a challenging enough experience to get me to say, I've been devoted to the light, truly devoted. So now I will devote myself to the darkness and I will let it swallow me whole. And I will let it tell me when to get back up and to come back to the world and to come back to life. And until then, I'm going to completely stop everything and still myself.
Mm.
That was a 10-year journey.
10 years.
10 years.
Let me just say something and then please continue. I'm just always in rapture listening to you. Wholeness can't be just the light,
No.
right? It has to be the integration of duality, which would be the dark and the light. So how, for 10 years, did you allow the darkness to swallow you whole and surrender?
I had never cried because growing up, we were not allowed to cry.
Oh,
So the first time I cried was when this situation happened, and I was 40 years old.
wow.
And I could hardly shed a tear. And then all of a sudden, the tears started and they wouldn't stop.
Mm,
And I thought, there's something in this. And I have been that person out in the world with ambition, trying to be somebody, creating things,
mm,
really beautiful things, lovely things, light-filled things. But in that moment, I knew that wasn't light. That was artificial light.
performance.
Yes,
Yeah.
it was survival light.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was the let me go out there and do something for someone else light
Mm,
to prove to myself that I'm worthy
yeah.
and I'm
Sacrificial.
the light.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. And so it was more about, can I really embrace this other part of me that is trying so desperately to get my attention?
Yes.
Can I hear her? Can I see
Yes.
her? Can I embrace her?
And
Can I sit with her?
yes.
I die with her if she
Yeah.
needs to die. Like it was really giving myself in devotion to a part of me, to a part of life that I knew there has to be this other side. And obviously, even with all the shadow work that I've done, there's places below shadow that I must not know about.
Mm,
Let the darkness be my guru. Let it be my teacher.
mm,
And because I've never been one to go to people or to go get trained in stuff or to go try a bunch of processes. It just never was something that resonated with me. I am here for experience. And
mm,
I decided if I really do have everything inside of me, like all the spiritual texts say,
mm-hmm,
why would I go anywhere else? It's
mm-hmm,
got to
mm-hmm.
be here, and I'm not leaving here until I find it.
Wow.
And that was the beginning of that journey. And I also knew if I didn't face it fully, that I was only going to create more of the same.
Of course.
And like you, I went through a really difficult court battle,
Mm,
and I needed to face all the masks of me that wanted to come up and do something. But I needed to sit down and say, instead of doing something, can you come and tell me? Tell me who you are. Tell me where you are in my body. Tell me from
mm,
what time you come.
mm. You mean the parts like me that wanted to like call the mafia and like chop them up in a million pieces and then send them off to Mars? Like those kind of parts of you?
All
Like,
kinds of parts, because beyond the shadow,
uh-huh.
there's the animal, and you talk a lot about that in your work. You call it the body, I call it the animal. It's the part of us that has sensation and feeling and rumbles that go through us that we have no idea why. It's the part of us that has us burst into tears on one day with no clue as to where it comes from, and then the mind wants to attach a story to it.
Yeah.
It's that part of us that all of a sudden goes into shutdown or shock or shivers,
Yeah.
and we're not sure why that person walking by even triggered that response. Like
Yeah.
it's just something so viscerally in the body that emotionally and intellectually we can't make sense of.
Mm,
And so I finally realized that through this process of deconditioning. And I began to realize, wait, there's more than one me here. There is the me that's been Miss 1111. There is the me that can speak and sing and do all these things that outwardly mesmerize people, and they love me for that performance, and
mhm.
it's a real part of me, but it's kind of like an outfit, like from the fashion industry. I have a full wardrobe of different faces that I can put on that are very real and very genuine, but they're not the real me. And so it was like, this is another part. This is like the lower SELF. That's the capital S, lowercase ELF. So there's two of me here. And what happened when I gave myself to the second lowercase SELF is I met the uppercase SELF. And that was my humanity. And
Yeah.
that was the books are living, being, and knowing. So living is the identity self, being is the shadow, animal, monster, demon self, because those are the layers that we have. And then knowing is the humanity self. And I began to realize until I could embrace my humanity fully,
Mm-hmm.
I had no way of reaching the doorway of divinity.
Mm.
And that was wholeness, that there's a trinity within me
Mm.
that is operating all of the time. I'm not of the light or of the shadow. All three of these are operating all of the time, every day, every minute. And when I approach something, I have to really check in. Am I doing this interview because my identity wants it and it wants to have whatever it needs to feel good about itself?
Mm.
Am I doing this interview from this place of the shadow or the animal or the insecure part or the I'm going to get them part or I'm going to make them listen to me part, that real gross part of us? Or am I doing this from a very open-hearted humanity place that says, here I am, good, bad, or ugly, take
Mm-hmm.
me as I am?
Mm.
Because this is divine. This is why I came here.
So, like a wholeness versus with no agenda to any outcome and just heart open truth, authentic truth. Um, that's a mixture of all your experiences and
Yes.
all your parts. So, thank you. So, back to when you began to embrace shadow with the beep beep and the jackhammer as our intro to this conversation. I think there's lots of things in life that will, as you said, signs and signals will encourage us to react, blame another, blame ourselves. But so that's the reactionary, but then to surrender to that and take a journey all the way through, maybe we could call it even like the underworld, until we can look face to face with all these parts of ourselves with no judgment, with no need to fix or change. And then for me, at least, there's an integration or a transcendence or a transmuting, all sorts of T words. Some magic occurs when we stop resisting our humanity. So 10 years, what did that really nuts and bolts look like? Did you stop working? Where did you live? Did you really cry for 10 years? Like what how did you take care of the kids? You had the custody battle. What did your world from Ms. Successful 1111 fashion woman in this decade? What did that decade really, what are some flavors of that decade?
Yeah. So I'm going to back up to when I was seeing the 1111s and I began asking, what does this mean?
Yeah.
And the only information I got was that these are 4 pillars and
Mm,
you have to walk through this gateway. The 2 11s with the colon is a gateway.
okay.
We're here to master this gateway. It is the only way you walk through the gateway. And the 4 1s represent first physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual.
Okay.
And secondly, they represent that you are the one and you are the ones.
Mm,
And so it was like, okay, this is trying to say that I am everything,
yep.
and ultimately everything and I are this one, but we appear separate.
Right.
And I walked through that mystery. So I started going through life using this as my personal growth path, asking every person, place, and thing I encountered, where is that in me?
Thank you.
What is that here to teach me about me? So I ended up at the grocery store to pick up groceries for my son, right? For us to have something. And there was an angry grocery store clerk. And she was really, really in a foul mood. And so I paid and I went to my car and I sat down and I said, where's that in me?
Right.
And that immediately goes, okay, I'm angry right now. I am angry.
Mm,
So what is that here to teach me about me? That I've got an emotion inside my body that I've never tapped into before.
mm-hmm.
What is that here to reveal, to come through me? My humanity I've always wanted to feel. I'm finally getting to feel.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would do that with everything that I encountered, right?
Wow.
And so as this came along and I'm finding myself on the floor and the tears won't stop, I had already developed a practice of just being experience. And I'm a little bit of a paradox because somebody that really knows me well will say, she is amazingly wise. She can channel some of the highest esoteric information. She's deeply intuitive. And she is the most childlike, innocent, naive person that walked on the face of the planet. I have these two sides where
Mm,
there's this one side that really does approach everything like a child and in innocence and has no clue as to what's going on. And
mm,
there's this other side that sees the larger picture.
mm,
And I know enough to be in an experience and let the child be in the experience, to let that part of me sit and watch and to just go through the experience. And so I let myself cry,
mhm.
cry, and cry, and it didn't want to stop. And so for the first 6, 8 months, I cried literally every day, all day.
Wow. And
And
so,
that's what happens when you have 40 years worth of backed up tears.
well, yeah, that you're willing to feel, not numb out with various addictions and or take yourself out. So bravo. Did you, so you didn't hold down a job? How could you cry at a job?
I couldn't. My body wouldn't let me do anything. And
Yeah.
a lot of people feel this exhaustion, but they just keep pushing.
Yeah.
They just keep trying to survive and
Red
make
Bull.
stuff happen, right? But that's also illustrative of our disconnection and our lack of trust of the
Yes.
universe. And I think that we all really do want to know that we are held, just like the plants are held and the animals and the birds, that we really are this interconnected part.
Yeah.
So it wasn't this adamant, I'm not going to work, I'm not going to, it wasn't that. It was this reclining back into life. You're going to have to hold me here. You're going to have to show me. I am your devotee.
Mm,
And so give to me as you would give to the small child, as you would give to the devotee, so that I can take from you what you're wanting me to have.
mm-hmm.
And I didn't have any income coming in. I didn't know where any was going to come from. I didn't have the energy to do anything. And yet, over the course of those 10 years, somehow I was always taken care of. There was, I would accumulate a massive amount on credit cards to pay the legal bills or to take care of myself because I knew that was what was most important. And then all of a sudden, out of the blue, somebody would knock on my door and they would say, I want to buy your house. And I would sit there and go, okay, well, I got this mortgage and I've got $250,000 worth of debt. And I'd really like to pay off this car. So at least I don't have that expense. And I went back to him and I said, I don't know that I'm ready to sell this house, but to sell this house,
This is
the number.
yeah.
Not thinking at all, like it was stupid. It was crazy. No one should pay that for this house. Like it was not it was a little tiny 1920. It was not something that was worth what I was asking for, right? And I get an email back the next morning. We'd like to put together a contract. We want your house. And all of a sudden, all the debt was wiped away. That
Wow.
happened to me 3 times
In 10 years.
in 10 years.
Question as we go back to the somatic experience of all of that, as the credit cards were accumulating. So we have this practice in embodied faith, a spiritual surrender. I'm a devotee of you, divine. And the credit cards are coming up and you don't have the energy and you get the offer. What happened in the body? This is curious to me. Were you kind of even keeled the whole time? Was there a sense of relief? Did it shift the crying? What was happening to the body every time you got proof that you're held?
I didn't realize it until after the fact what was really happening, but the part of me that was being the child and letting myself feel and really
Yeah.
give myself this time,
Yeah.
that was the sacred divine feminine.
Mm,
That was the raw feminine, the part of us that needs to feel, the part of us that actually ignites creation in the universe, the part of us that is Kali and Lakshmi and Parvati and Saraswati and all of it combined into one.
mm,
That's who that is. And she was saying, suckle at my breast, take everything you need to take. Let me hold you. Let me love you. Feel it all. Cry
mm,
every tear. Scream every
mm.
scream.
Yeah.
Feel every piece of piercing pain that's inside your body. And at the same time, that part of me that I told you was the wise one That part of me was witnessing.
Masculine,
While
divine
I was
masculine.
a divine masculine. So while I was experiencing this, it's not that I was unaware that there was debt. It's not that I was unaware that in the beginning there was fear
Yeah.
around money.
Yeah.
It's just that I was also witnessing it.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so, but I was more devoted to being in the experience and knowing that this was for me.
Mm-hmm.
It was not airy fairy thinking. It was not wishful dreaming that money's going to fall out of the sky. It was a deep sense of this is requiring me to love myself in a way I've never loved myself before.
Yeah. Yeah.
And obviously, everything before now was not love.
And also be loved or supported, loved by the universe too. I love myself so much. I let myself be supported right now.
Yes, yes. And so I would feel, along with the sadness, when those thoughts and moments would come up around the fear of money, I would feel that, I would witness it, and I'm like, okay, I can feel the terror in my body. I can feel the beliefs around money. I can
Mm.
feel that unworthiness as well. And I need to go cry some more.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm.
so I just wanted, I knew enough that the inner work is so important that you can't not give to yourself to this degree of love and self acceptance and not somehow be held. I
Yeah.
never imagined that bills could get paid off in that way or that certain miracles could happen, but they ended up happening. And had they not happened, or when they didn't happen, somehow I would rely on the innovation or the creativity inside myself to come up with a way.
Mm.
There was one point, Alana, where because my children had been moved to 2 hours away from me, and
Mm.
I had no ability to move because I had a property that was under another lawsuit because
Mm.
the building was constructed in a way that the builder was being sued. So I couldn't sell it. Banks wouldn't let anyone buy it. I'm in another home that I bought out of fear
Mm.
because I was afraid of my children being taken away. So here I've got two mortgages at this point, no income, and then I want to see my children.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I'm going to get to see them, but I want to at least be near them in case I get the chance, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so then I'm renting a third place.
Mm.
No logical sense whatsoever. And most people looking at my life, had they known, they would have thought I was completely insane.
Mm-hmm.
But as I messaged you before, there's a fine line between insanity and enlightenment. And
Mm-hmm.
there's a part of us that has to be wild and free and rebellious and say, you know what, there's something bigger than me and it courses
Yeah.
through me. And until I'm willing to trust that it's possibly there, how
Yes.
can I know?
Yes.
Yes. And so the minute I did that, I all of a sudden had a renter for this one. I
Uh-huh.
started Airbnb the second one and
Uh-huh.
the money to rent the third one. And I thought, okay, I am the most broke person with three homes that I ever knew. And yet it worked. And it got me through that period.
Wow.
And it's not that there was not trauma building during that
Sure.
period
Sure.
or more pain, because there was,
Mm.
but it was this learning to move through, to regulate, to become emotionally intelligent and even keel no matter what happened. And
Mm.
that's mastery. That goes back to the 1111
Mm. Mm.
because masters are not here living these perfect lives that nothing happens, that they literally are walking on water and attracting everything they need, and being a best-selling author and a person on stage. That's not a master. That's a good marketer.
Mm.
A
Mm.
master is someone that can continue to walk through everything that life offers,
Yep.
to share intimately with you what that walk is,
Yeah.
and to continue to be more and more balanced and even keel so that nothing rocks them. And we're
Mm.
all masters. We just are building those muscles, those heart, mind, physical, energetic muscles to get there.
This is so brilliant. Friggin' love you. Um, I'm still going back to the driveway and the jackhammer. Not that I can hear any of it, but the idea that these challenges. So let's say the listeners or the viewers are like, I I can't watch the TV, or when I do, I just want to, I'm so hopeless, I want to give up, or I'm so enraged, or I feel so hopeless that I can't change things, or why should we want to have a baby. Why should we bring a baby into the world? I think I need to go move to Costa Rica in the middle of the jungle with my children. Like all these different thoughts that are very valid when you open your eyes to what is falling apart as the third and fourth dimension, like leave as we're building our fifth dimensional world and win and way of being together. I believe if we are, I don't know if wasting is the right word, but reacting so much that we have no more energy to create or no more capacity to listen to the whispers within our heart, this is going to take us all down. The jackhammering next door with the driveway. So what do you say to people who are witnessing the breaking up of, the loud noise of, the crashing of our systems and structures of our world? What are some of your tools you've learned in mastery that we can pass along so they can use their precious energy in a way that nourishes themselves, their soul, their body, their family, their creative gifts for this world?
I don't think it takes us down. I think it takes us on a detour. I think we go off on a scenic route rather than the straight path, right?
Mm,
If we were to stay in our higher self, if we really were to allow ourselves to be elevated beings all the time, and that's beyond positivity. That means a being that sees the big picture and in a balanced way can see all sides of things and stay neutral.
mm,
And we would have a straight route to the divine. But number one, we didn't come here for that because we wanted the human experience. We wanted
yeah.
the roller coaster and the theme park and the adventure and all of the horror that comes with this because you know what? We go out and pay for that. So why
Yes,
do we want that in our own lives, right? I mean,
totally.
we pay for it all the time. And
It's
then
free outside your door.
your life. Yeah. And so, when I think about what happened, the first thing that most people would think when they saw a jackhammer tearing up the sidewalk and looking at it was like, oh my gosh, what does that mean?
Mm,
This is terrible. This is a bad sign.
yeah.
And I think that's part of the negativity that is naturally inherent in us. I realize that we as human beings, we're just naturally negative. We're going to see the negative side of things. We're going to go into fear. We're going to have doubt. That is part of the human condition. And what we have to realize is to avoid the platitudes that we've been given, like look for the silver lining and all those kind of things, because that's just something that we've also brainwashed into ourselves, and actually receive the blessings, receive that there are alternative blessings. So there are these good, fancy, shiny, shimmery blessings that we have, that we want to have, the unicorns in our experience. And then there is this cycle of blessings, which is what the identity invites by its action, purely by the blessing of life. And that's actually what the first book is. It's Living, the Seven Blessings of Human Experience. So that's the identity self. And our first blessing is life. And once we have life, we invite obstacle, challenge, conflict, darkness, and death. Like these are blessings for us because they are the cycle of life. Now, right now,
Mm,
somebody's going, those are not blessings. Those are painful. I don't want any part of those blessings.
mm,
But if you really looked at every negative thing that happened in your life,
mm-hmm.
something good actually came out of it.
100%.
Didn't feel like it in the moment, but when you look back, you're like, wow, that actually was a blessing in disguise.
Right.
This is a cycle that we live over and over and over again. And it's based on our 7-year cycle. Like you also teach, 0 to 7, everything you take into your physical body, it's stored as memory. It's the visceral experience that you have no conscious awareness of. 7 to 14, the emotional body. 14 to 21, the intellectual body. So we construct ourselves. And these blessings that show up are here to deconstruct us, to help us dissolve what got layered. But instead, we push against it.
Mm,
So initially, the jackhammers were going, and then the beeping trucks started happening. And I'm like, what are they doing out there? Like, why are they beating up the sidewalk? Okay, I know there's something really, really key here, but I'm not quite sure what it is yet.
mm,
So before we started the show, I happened to look out because it got quiet for a little bit.
uh-huh.
They had put in 2 new drains on
Uh-huh.
the sidewalk. And I'm like, well, this is perfect. Because what's going on right now, and you can look at the weather, You can look at the flooding. You can look at the fires. You can look at all the ways that the world is speaking to us through signs and symbols to show that we are all backed up. We're all backed up with grief. We're all
Yeah.
backed up with rage. We're all backed up with despair. All the wins are our confusion. And that's collectively what we're creating in the world. Because remember, all ones and all one. And so we're creating that stuff. And when we encounter these obstacles, these challenges in our life that show up as these so-called bad signs, then all of a sudden we get to do our part of what alleviates some of the collective issues. And that's the direction that I went with everything that shows up. And so I would say to anyone out there, when you encounter something, when you encounter people fist fighting on an airplane right around you, where is that in me? Where is my masculine and feminine fighting inside of me?
Duking it out.
Where is my feminine pushing back against something that it doesn't want that's in the future? And where is my masculine defending this idea when that's not what she wants? Like there's certain things that come up. And the more times you encounter something, you're going deeper and deeper and deeper into the subtle of stuff that there's no way you could consciously get aware of, but the subconscious knows how to create what you need outside of you. That answered what you were asking.
Yes, yes. And so for people that are really upset by it all, you're saying feel it and ask, where does that live inside of me? Did I get that right?
Yes, because right now we live in a world where everyone's projecting outside. Even the activists, they're very rageful. They're doing great work based on what their identity thinks is necessary. But what they're doing is they're just projecting the same outside. So it's creating more of a storm. What if we paused and didn't react first and said, where is that in me? Can I sit in it? Can I hold it? Can I be with it? Can I feel what it wants me to feel? Can I become neutral and then see what the step is to take? We do the opposite. We've both encountered narcissism in our experiences. And when I was facing the degrees of narcissistic abuse that I was experiencing, my only question was, this has got to be inside of me. I could not create this outside of me unless it was inside of me. So where is the narcissist inside of me?
What did you find?
Where is that part inside of me? Right?
Yeah. What did you find and how did you work with that?
A narcissist is someone who, on one hand, is so in love and elevating of the self that no one else is of importance. And on the other hand, is so deeply denying of the self that they can't look at that degree of who they are. That is also another reason I committed to the darkness. Because I said, he's in me. He's a part of me I'm willing to see. And so I found the shadow, I found the animal, I found the monster that would behave in that way. But when I reached the demon, when I reached the degree of self-hate that lived inside of me, that was when I met him. That was when I saw the face of what he really was and the face that lived inside of me that I was unwilling to see. And I saw the overcompensation of trying so hard to be the light, so hard to be the love, that these were the two opposites that were fighting against each other. And they had to meet and embrace. They had to become love.
And so you loved your own inner demon.
Yes.
And so it wasn't like you threw a party, but you opened your heart, you breathed, you said, I see you. Like, what did you actually do?
I am so grateful for that part of me. I did throw a party. I
you?
am in love. Yeah, I am in love with all those parts of me. There is no judgment. There is full acceptance. There is complete compassion.
Mm.
I see how those parts of me created the me that had the ability to be able to support others, to be able to survive so much, to be able to be an open channel in many ways, to be able to do a lot of things,
Yeah. Yeah.
and how I had to go to such an extent to protect myself. And it was willing to be sacrificed. That part of myself was willing to be sacrificed in order to have this human experience that
Yeah.
my soul really, really wanted.
Mm.
There just came a moment of peace where I really was with all of these parts, and there was just nothing but this love and this gratitude. And it's not an intellectual thing. You have to go through all of your emotions. You have to fully feel everything, and not from a place of, I want to heal, I want to get rid of this.
Because that's
Just
an
more hate.
agenda.
That's just hating the self even more.
Correct.
It's from a place of, I want to make love to you. I want to love every piece and part of you. You can show me the worst of yourself,
Mm-hmm.
and I will not leave you.
Mm-hmm. Totally. Yeah, this is my journey with myself and with my clients. When we meet the ugliest, most self-hating, murderous parts, my words are, let's feel that. We don't
And
have to.
that's the part of you that's creating the signs outside, right? That's the part of you that's actually creating the pebbles, the rocks, and the boulders. And it's really only doing that, kind of pulling at your hem, saying, notice me.
Yeah.
Keep leaving me.
Yeah.
Keep abandoning me.
Mm.
And you're abandoning it for things that aren't even real. And so that's the place that we all have to get to. And I know you so beautifully do that kind of work.
Mm.
Have that understanding yourself just through the work that you've done on yourself and the depth and intimacy and vulnerability through which you share. So I just want to commend the work you do and how you work with clients, because that is priceless for an individual to let themselves be seen and held and loved and accepted from those places.
Yeah.
Because it is a process, it takes time. And not everyone's going to take 10 years of their life to stop. I wanted to understand life. I've always been an explorer. I've always wanted to know how life works. And I really have figured a lot of stuff out. And when I finished that 10-year period, Spirit said, write the books. I actually transcribed the table of contents in year 2 of 2 years of crying. And I came back from a walk and wrote it all out. And I put it away, and I just looked around and said, no, wherever you are, no, I am not writing any more books. I'm not doing anything. I have no desire to inspire anyone. I am done.
Barely keeping it together. Yeah.
I just want to feel what I got to feel and take care of myself. And when this all finished, I kept getting the message, write the books, write the books. And so then I said, okay, if I can save people the time that I had to take,
Yeah.
I'll put this together, but they're not normal books. You don't read them. They're oracles. You open to a page and you read that section. You won't get past a paragraph. They're not meant to be read front to back. You won't even probably get through a whole page. You're going to get bite-sized pieces that are going to work on retooling yourself and opening you to things in a way that you can gently handle it and also feel it and intellectually understand it without having to stop or without, you'll still fall apart, but there will be a devotion and a purpose. There will be a meaning to that. You're not going to resist it anymore.
And by falling apart, you mean feel uncomfortable feelings and the identity that you think you are is going to crack wide open.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, at least for me, I'm here for my soul. I'm not here for my ego.
Right.
I'm not interested in anyone buying anything from me. I'm not interested in anyone doing anything with me. That really has no meaning for me. I'm here for people's soul, and to say, will you be here for your soul rather than your ego? Because
Totally.
right now you're caught up in your story, and that is all ego gratification. That is your narcissism.
Mm,
Will you be here for your soul and let that ego and that story serve your soul's purpose?
right. Soul in the front seat, ego in the back seat.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm curious about when did the 10 years end and compared to today?
That would have been 2019.
Okay. All right. So six years or so. How has your journey of motherhood transpired over that 10-year period and in that last six years? Because I know we've both been through some real gnarly experiences, but I don't know where you are today with your kids.
You know, I think the hardest part for me, because there was, with one child, there was complete separation, very much like yours.
Yeah.
With the other one, because he was 4 years old at the time, there was at least short bursts of being able to be with him.
Mm,
But I lived at a distance because of circumstance. So it still
yeah.
made kind of a traumatic back and forth type of experience. By the time everything finally finished and I was able to get away, because one thing about that system, at least here in South Carolina, is I couldn't get out. No matter what I did, I kept being dragged back in. It's not that I wanted to be in it, I kept being dragged back in it. And so when I was finally found a window where I could finally say, have everything, have all of it, have the kids, have it all, just
That's the
let
only
me go, just let me go.
that's the only way to get out of it, huh?
The only way to get out of it.
Same, California. Yeah.
Yeah. And so
Wow.
at that point, I knew I needed to take a little time to heal, and I had to
Mm,
figure out, okay, what do I want now? What do I need now? Because there's been 10 years worth of grief and crying and all of this kind of stuff.
totally.
And so it came to the point where I realized that there was still a sadness. The first 2 years of tears were mine.
Mm,
They were mine for many different reasons. And then they paused for about 3, 4, 5 months. And then all of a sudden they started all over again.
hmm
And it was another months of, and I'm like, what in the world is this? And then I realized that it was my mother's and my grandmother's and the grandmother before
Oh,
that. That
ancestral. Got it.
every generation
Yeah.
had this same experience in some way, shape, or form.
Mm,
And they never shed their tears.
right.
And it's not that I'm saying I was any savior for anything. It's just my body had memory of it. And
Right.
so that had to be flushed. And then I stopped again for another few months, and then it started again. And I'm like, well, okay, who else do I need to cry for? And I actually was tapping into the collective, because as you do this work, and I'm
Yeah.
sure you feel this too, Alana, as you shed more and more of what you've been holding in, you become more sensitive. You
Mm,
feel the world, you
totally.
feel everything.
Yeah.
And I was feeling the tears of the world. I was feeling the tears of women. I was feeling the tears of men, all people that have experienced some sort of oppression and loss and grief. And it just started pouring through. And so I said, okay, if that's what's got to come, just let it
Yeah.
come.
Yeah.
And so after a period of rest from all that, and I still felt this deep melancholy, it
Mm,
was like, how do I do this? Because I can't seem to get my creative self back on track.
yeah.
And I realized I just want to be near him. It doesn't matter if I don't get to see him. It doesn't matter if I don't get any time. Some part of my soul needs to be near him.
Yeah.
And so I sold my home. It all happened within a month, so I knew it was correct. And I moved the 2 hours, and I moved directly across the street from his high school.
Oh my.
And I feel like I'm with him every single day now.
Oh,
Even though
you're there
he's
right
over
now.
there
Uh-huh.
and I'm over here.
Uh-huh.
But energetically, it
Yeah.
feels like it's a connection. And it had to bring me back to the place where all the trauma originally occurred.
Oh,
And so I follow those things. Like, we resist stuff so much. And it's
mm,
like, can you just let life lead you? Because
yeah.
life knows where it's going.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think we fight life. We push against it. And there is an intelligence to life because our soul is requiring something of
Totally.
us.
Totally.
And so that brought me back here. And then all of a sudden, all the creative juices and everything came back.
Wow.
I live very organically.
Uh,
I am not someone that has any sort of agenda. I have learned to trust life, to trust experience, to really live in a way that things come to me. What I
mhm,
need comes, what I need to go out flows out. It's just a very organic process. I
mm,
live a very simple life because that feels good. And the third book is Knowing the Seven Human Expressions of Grace. And the
mm,
first grace we must give ourselves is the grace of simplicity,
mm,
that our freedom actually lay in simplicity. It lay in releasing the attachments, releasing all the things that are the weight that we carry around, that we hold on to. So all of this is very much a highly spiritual soul experience, but the world has conditioned us and taught us that it is an ego identity experience. I think I lost you.
Okay, so this is fun way to begin our interview and end our interview. So I heard a knock on the door as you were talking, but I'm like, sometimes they do that when they drop off a package, right? They just knock on the door. No, it was someone who needed to shut down the entire power of the house, turn off the internet, reset everything else. And I just walked out there and he's like, well, I knocked on the door. So how
So
can
the sign is
yes.
we need to unplug. We need to get quiet. We need to
Mm.
shut everything off. We need to be with ourselves. We
And
need to
reset,
be
reboot.
inside of our home, reset and reboot.
So, from the beginning, we want to unclog our systems, our
Yes.
emotions, our heart, our
Open
mind.
the drains and the pathways that
Yes.
allow the emotions to flow.
Have a good cry if you need to. In a healthy way, release your anger, all of that. And then at the end of our interview, the universe is telling us it's okay now, as you complete listening or watching this interview, to unplug, to not go right back into your busy world, maybe feet on the earth, maybe walking through nature, and listen and reboot and reset, even more aligned, maybe less ego driven, goal driven, and more soul driven, more heart driven.
Or at least asking
Mm,
which part of me is driving this moment. Is it
mm,
my identity? Is it some lower base nature of myself
mm,
really trying to get my attention and I'm distracting myself?
mm,
Or is it my humanity that wants to feel something? What's
mm.
the impulse that's really here?
And listen and get in this practice of listening and honoring over and over and over.
Yeah. And what if this time, rather than acting, I do nothing?
Mm,
What if I learn how to do more nothing?
mm. Well, that is what, in general, this property is allowing.
Good.
And just to put a bow on it, we are even going to take, well, they took away the well, the pump broke. So I didn't have water for 2 days. That was last week. But this was within 2 minutes. This,
The signs always speak. They do. And they show up in all manner of ways. And they really are gifts. They really are guidance. And they're guidance from your soul to you.
mm,
Everybody to realize that the burst pipe, the flat tire, the lost job, the
mm,
divorce that's trying to happen,
yeah,
those are all really gifts for you. Will you receive the
yeah,
gift?
yeah. It's
They're
a
the alternative blessings that are meant for you.
without the death, there can be no rebirth. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, this was delicious. This was deep. We're going to go over to Patreon, everyone, and we're going to do a little sensual dancing and answer some fun questions. I would like you all to be sure. Where would you like to send them to, Simran? Where would you like people to learn more?
You can go to iamsimran.com.
Great.
That's where you'll find my books. Again, if you get my trilogy, it's really meant to be for the bedside oracles, just to take a little paragraph in the morning and a little
Mm,
paragraph in the evening, whichever book or all three, and you will be able to tap into those parts of yourself. And if you want more of me, I have a Substack membership where I do a weekly prompt and meditations and things like that. And if you want the free stuff, go to 1111mag.com. There's always lots of free stuff.
Look at you. You're extraordinary. And I'm so glad you followed your heart, soul, moved across the street, and the flow has returned to your creativity. What a brave, brave journey you have been on and continue to radiate and give of your light and your love. Thank you so much. And just as we're ending too, my cat Muffin has come in. She's been just all quiet outside, but now she's like, I just want to say hi to
Oh my
Sue.
goodness. Magic and
20,
mysticism.
20
Yeah.
years old, another sign. All right. Thank you all so much for being with us. Take that moment as we suggested and unplug and be and listen. And we will see you shortly over on Patreon.
See you next week on Intimate Conversations. Get out there and make love to life.
I've been interviewing now. Well, this is our 13th season. And before that, I think I did Blog Talk Radio for at least 3 years prior to that. It's coming up on 1,000 people I've interviewed. So clearly I can't keep in touch with everyone. And every so often, someone really touches my heart and I take the next step to befriend them, to learn more from them. So I got Simran's books, Being, Living, and Knowing. And I love in my downtime just to like hold, which of the books muscle test, feels light, and then just like open it to a page. And, what is the message? Well, it's pretty much always exactly what I need to hear. She is a wise woman. She's a magical, mystical woman. I've had the blessing of being able to connect with her, I'll say as a friend, after the podcast. She's an extraordinary listener. I know that if you, I'm sure that you've had many moments listening to this podcast that you're like, aha. I challenge you to listen to it again, like in 2 or 3 weeks, and then again in like 2 or 3 weeks. I bet you're going to hear something different every single time. That's our intention. So if you loved this podcast, please share it with a friend, someone who you think will benefit, and let it spark a conversation between the two of you. And also, if you'd be so kind as to subscribe and rate and review this, it allows for even more people to benefit from this incredible content. So please go to all of the links in the show notes so that you can connect with Simran, get these books for you as well. I think you're going to just feel the energy of them and the intention to support your greatest life, which is what we're here to do at Intimate Conversations. And if listening to me and the work that I do with intimacy is something that's really resonating in your life when it comes to relationships with yourself, your body, the divine, your beloved, I would love to hear from you. It's called an Intimacy Breakthrough Experience Call. There's a scholarship also in the show notes for being a listener of Intimate Conversations. I would love to see you in my calendar. So sending you so much love, Simran. Thank you for being with us, and all of you for watching. All my love.